Hello everyone. Today I want to tell everyone 5 inspirational stories to help us live better every day. 1. What are the challenges left behind? The shortest way out of trouble is through it. Anonymous. A guy is having a lot of trouble, he gets hurt and becomes disillusioned with life. He went to ask a wise old man. After hearing the story, he did not say a word, but silently put the pot on the stove, poured some water into the pot and put in a carrot, a lump of salt and an egg. After boiling, he opened the lid and mused silently at him. After a while he began to say, "Everyone who lives in this world has to go through difficulties and challenges. But the important thing is what happens after that. Look at the lump of salt with its solid appearance, but when put in water, it dissolves, and when the carrot is hot, it also becomes soft. The egg is fragile, but when it goes through hot boiling water, it becomes stronger." There is a very good saying, a challenge can also become a golden opportunity when we know how to seize it and turn it around. 2. The story of building the Brooklyn Bridge. Never, never, never give up. Winston Churchill. The Brooklyn Bridge across the river between the two cities of Manhattan and Brooklyn must be said to be the miracle of the construction industry. In 1883, a creative engineer named John Roebling was inspired by the idea of building a spectacular bridge between these two cities. However, when he presented his bold idea, not a single expert on roads and bridges would cooperate with him. They thought he was crazy and told him to forget about it because it was impossible to make such a bridge. Undeterred, he went home to convince his son Washington, also a potential engineer, that such a bridge could be built. Both father and son cherished the desire to complete the bridge and discussed how to overcome all obstacles. Anyway, the banks believed them and agreed to spend money on the bridge project. With great excitement and enthusiasm, they recruited workers and began to build the bridge of their dreams. The project went on for a few months, when disaster struck. An accident at the construction site took the life of Mr. John Roebling, and his son was seriously injured in the head. After the accident, Washington was unable to walk and speak. Everyone thought that the project would eventually go up in smoke because only father and son Roebling were the only ones who understood how to build this bridge. Although unable to walk or talk, Washington Roebling's mind was still very sharp. One day, lying in the hospital, he suddenly thought of a way to talk to other people. The only movement of his body at the moment was to move a finger, and he devised a set of communication codes. With this code, he used his movable finger to type his thoughts into his wife's hand to tell her what to say to the engineers who were still building the bridge. For 13 years, Washington ordered with his only moving finger until the completion of the magnificent Brooklyn Bridge we see today. 3. Lessons from a martial arts teacher. Much of your happiness or unhappiness is determined by your character, not by your circumstances. Martha Washington. A 10-year-old boy decided to learn judo even though his left arm was lost in a car accident. He studied judo with a Japanese master. Because he believed that he had studied very hard and made progress, he wondered why after 3 months of practice, the teacher only taught him only one martial art. Finally, the boy couldn't stand it any longer and asked the teacher, "Teacher, can't I learn other martial arts?" He replied, "This is the only martial art I teach you, and it's the only martial art you need to learn." Although he did not fully understand the teacher's words, but believing in the teacher, the boy continued to practice. Months later, the old master took him to a judo competition. The boy was surprised to see that he won easily in the first 2 matches. The third match was more difficult, but after a while, the opponent lost patience in attacks. The boy skillfully used martial arts and won. Still amazed by his success, he confidently entered the finals. This time, his opponent was a taller, stronger and more experienced martial artist. Not long into the battle, the boy was repeatedly hit and completely overwhelmed by the opponent. At the end of the first half, fearing that the boy would be injured, the referee signaled to end the game early, but his teacher did not agree. Just let the boy continue. Master requested. Immediately after the match restarted, the opponent made a serious mistake. He looked down on his opponent and let his guard down. Immediately, the boy used his unique martial arts stance to knock the opponent down and lock him on the floor. The boy won the championship. On the way back, the two teachers and students reviewed the fighting positions in each match. At this moment, the boy mustered up the courage to say what had been haunting his mind for a long time. "Teacher, how can I become a champion with just such a martial art? I won for 2 reasons." The teacher replied, "The first reason, I have almost mastered one of the most dangerous and effective strokes of this martial art. The second reason, the only way your opponent can break your stance is if they have to hold your left arm. And I don't have a left hand." Sometimes, someone's weakness turns out to be their greatest strength. Having an advantage is a good thing, but being able to turn a disadvantage into an advantage is even more magical. Believe in yourself, you can do it all. Villa Jolly has a quote, "Turn adversity into opportunity to help you achieve greater things." 4. Good news. The meaning of life is not what it gives us, but how we behave towards it. It's not about what happens to us, but how we react to it. Lewis L. Dunnington. A recent college graduate looking for a job participated in a specialized creative competition organized by a union of universities across the country. After many preliminary rounds that lasted for a month, he was included in the group of the best people to participate in the final round. Then he also struggled to overcome his opponents in the final battle of wits, which lasted 3 intense days, and won the first prize. The reward for him was a rather large sum of money that his student life had never dreamed of. After leaving the hall and quickly hiding from the camera lights of the press, he entered the parking lot to leave. Suddenly a woman approached him. She choked. "Uncle, congratulations uncle, it is an honor for you to have won the first prize in this difficult competition. I have something to tell you, but I don't know if it's convenient. If you have small children you will understand what I am about to say. My child is suffering from severe cancer, lying in the hospital. If not for such a large sum of money, how much do you need?" The student looked at her and asked with genuine sympathy. After listening to the woman tell the whole story, he immediately pulled out the envelope containing the reward money and gave it all to her. "Pray for your son to get through the danger. Go back and take care of her right away." I said, "Thank you, I don't know what I have to repay you." Then the woman with an emotional expression walked out the gate. A few days later he had the opportunity to return to school. A person who saw him came up to him and asked, "Someone told me that the other night you met a woman after the contest and you gave her money to treat her dying child, right?" The young man nodded in affirmation. "Then I have to tell you this news, so you know. She's a real scammer. She didn't have any sick children who were dying. You are so trusting? You've been tricked, my friend." After a moment of silence, the young man asked again, "It's true that no child is sick near death, right?" "Right. I guarantee it," the man assured. "Oh, that's the best news I've heard of the day," said the young man. 5. Hospital window. Noble are those who know how to bring joy to others in silence. Anonymous. 2 seriously ill men were treated in the same hospital room. One had water in the lungs and the other had hemiplegia. At noon, people with lung disease must sit up for about an hour to dry their lungs. His bed was located near the only window in the room. Paralyzed people have to stay in bed all day. They often chat with each other for hours about family, friends, life, and together review the memories of serving in the army. Every afternoon, when the man on the hospital bed near the window sat up, he used to amuse himself by telling his roommate what he saw outside the window. Through your story, the patient on the other side of the bed seems to be resurrected in the colorful world outside the door frame. There is a green park with a blue, dreamy lake and a flock of swans circling around. Next to them, children were releasing paper boats on the calm lake. The lovers are walking hand in hand around the bed of red roses, all like a colorful poetic picture. While the patient near the window was drunk, on the other side of the bed, his friend was half-lidded, imagining a dreamlike scene before his eyes. On a warm afternoon, the sick man in bed near the window told his friends about a parade going on outside. Although he couldn't hear the orchestra playing the marching song outside, the paralyzed man could still picture the majestic scene. The days passed quietly. One morning, as usual, the nurse on duty brought them water, only to find the patient lying motionless on the bed by the window. He took his last breath in a peaceful sleep last night. After your death, the paralyzed man asked to be moved to the bed by the window. In the new bed, suppressing the pain, he tried to support his arms, slowly sat up and began to look out at the outside world. But in front of him was just a white wall. It wasn't until later that he learned the truth. His late friend was a seasoned man, he couldn't even see the emotionless wall. What he wanted was to give his friend joy and consolation. Thank you everyone for listening. Best wishes to everyone. Hope you guys subscribe to the channel.